we're here, folks. Week 14. We are hot. We are ready to go as we make that push for playoffs. And hey, maybe you're on the outside looking in and you just want to play spoiler. We're here for you as well. This is what the Roundtable is here for. We're here to discuss all things fantasy football. And yeah, I'm here with the big dogs. I got SC on my, which side is that, left, right? And I got Jeremy on my left, right. I don't know which way they set it up. It's one of the. I'm in the middle sandwich. They're the edges on the middle. That's where we're doing this, folks. How you guys doing today? You enjoying your Saturday?
Yeah, man, good so far. The weather's been odd, right? We get sunshine and it's looking nice, and then it's all foggy and cloudy and it's super cold. So the weather is always fun, always changing here in Oregon.
Bro, it's rainy and nasty as hell here. I'm sick as a goddamn dog, but we roll on no matter what. All you West Coast guys. I love the West Coast of the U.S., by the way. Fantastic. I'm here living in the rainy season in Northern Europe. Yay.
Yeah, that sounds like our climate. I'm in the Pacific Northwest. I get a lot of similar weather like that where it's like, oh, what's the day? Oh, it's 45 and cloudy. It's lovely. It's just, the day of life out here. It was like 30 degrees. We're very mild climate people. So it was 30 degrees. I was picking my daughter up from school. And I was like, I can't do this. I had a jumbo coat on, big layers. And I was like, no, we're not ready for this. Hey, Jeffrey, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. If you have any questions or anything you want to put in on the show today, go ahead and just drop them in the comments. We'll happily reply to them live as we go about doing this. So we got a few things we were kind of thinking about tackling this week. I guess we can just hit our fun little segment called, if you've been seeing social media, there's this thing called We Listen, We Don't Judge, going across where people are making, not the best choices in their life. And they're sometimes screwing their friends over, things along those nature. But you don't judge them. You do it. So that's what we're going to bring up today on the show. I will do it after we get this question from Jeremy out the way. So Jeremy's question, or Jeffrey's, excuse me. With Goddard out, how we feel about the other tight ends? And by the way, you should check Jeremy's hashtag. There might be some information in that one for you. Over Hawkinson, I think, is spicy, but that's an interesting question. And then, how do you feel about Pickens? I love Pickens. And is Debo going to get through to all? I mean, I'll say this. For Calcaterra, me and Jeremy kind of covered it on the show on Thursday show, that we liked him, but he's still not as good as Dallas Goedert, so we don't have him super high. So I think I have him at tight end 14. I'm not sure where you guys have him. I'll ask you, Jeremy, since you have Calcaterra listed down below. How are you feeling about Calcaterra, and are you confidently starting this week?
Yeah, this week he's my tight end 13, so it's not super confident, but there are a lot of other options I would start him over. I have Will Dissly at 12, even after that donut, just because he's playing the Kansas City Chiefs, who hemorrhage points to the tight end. Cade Otton at 11, who I don't totally trust, but another good matchup against Vegas. But I do have Calcaterra above Freiermuth, Pitts, Kmet, Mike Gesicki, who can have a big game. Juwan Johnson this week. So I do like his matchup, and I think he has opportunity. The only thing is Devontae Smith should play. He was supposed to play last week. He should play again this week. If he does, that'll take a little bit off of his table. But is he a must play? No. But can Calcaterra get you there if you're in a pinch, especially in a apocalypse?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it. You can play him. You can definitely play him. I know we don't want to get out over our skis where we're talking about over Hawkinson. I think that's a little bit too far because Hawkinson's one of their tight ends in NFL. We're going to go to that. SC, I'll ask you, as far as Pickens and Debo, how are you feeling about those guys this weekend? Because I'm very much in on Pickens this week, but I'm curious your kind of thoughts on those two guys for week 14.
Pickens is nice. They're playing at home. That'll be a good matchup for him, hopefully, against Cleveland. I don't know what his stats were last time against Cleveland, 2 weeks ago?
I think it was 4 for 40 or something.
4 for 40. So my thing about this is it is an AFC North game, and they'll try to run first. So if that's able to get going, that takes out the passing case for both. Granted, both teams are having the pass with Jameis Winston and Rush, and they're both looking good at passing it. Debo is a very interesting play, though. I think I like him more. We have CMC out. You have drawing a blank on the name. Jordan Mason out. Right. So you have Garando, you have Patrick Taylor. They did pick up Israel Abidikanda, which might be a sneaky play if he gets it going, but I don't think he'll play this week. Both those two guys I said at the beginning are on IR, right? So we know is a gadget type of player in a sense where they can use him in the backfield and he's effective. So this may be they may have to, right? We don't know what Garano's get. I knew during the combine he looked great, had the fastest 40, like or something phenomenal. We don't know much about what we have in Patrick Taylor. We don't know Israel Abedikanda, at least what he does at the pro level. Like he just wasn't used as greatly last season. So Debo may actually be called upon here. And then, this might be a nice George Kittle week or a nice Juwan Jennings type of week as well. So I think I lean Debo here just because of what's ahead of him. If Devontae Smith was not there, Calcaterra would be great. But Devontae Smith right back, he's healthy. That's going to draw targets. Even if Goddard was there, that would draw targets from Goddard, right? So now you have a lesser – you're tied at 2, that hasn't gotten any targets in the sense of like when Goddard's on there, right? So now you have someone coming in that Devontae Smith is there. I expect it to be AJB and Devontae Smith.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to look at it. When that entire team is healthy, it is the best semblance of skill talent in the NFL. They have every position covered, right? So 2 really good wide receivers, one of the best running backs in the NFL. One of the better. I know Aaron cannot stay on the tight end because he doesn't stay healthy, but he's still a good NFL tight end, so that's kind of his issue. Yeah, you kind of play him, you live with it, you see how it goes. It's boom bust, high upside tight end too. I think it's a fair way to phrase it. And you could do worse than him. I will say for Pickens to kind of hype him up really quickly, he leads the league on deep plays in the NFL for like 20-yard receptions. Like George Pickens leads the NFL in that. Also against single high coverage, which Cleveland runs like 65% of the time. Pickens smashes his like yard per route run is like over 3. Like everything in this matchup is setting up for a very boom bust game for George Pickens. He busted like 2 weeks ago, but he was like top 3 in air yards in that game. So it kind of shows you the George Pickens lifestyle. I think we could certify putting him into the top 10. I would understand if people push him like top 15, top 20. Like I understand that with Pickens. But for me, I'm all in for Pickens. Jeremy, his question about Hall and Allen and Davis. How are you treating the Jets backfield? Are you auto starting whoever the starting running back is? Say if Brees plays, then are you playing him? Or are you treating kind of Braylon Allen kind of as a similar, or are you more worried about what Isaiah Davis is going to do?
No, I don't think Isaiah Davis is going to come in and do anything super meaningful. I know it's a lost season for the Jets. They're definitely out of the playoff race here, so they're just looking to next season. If they can get something out of Isaiah Davis, great. They know they don't have to necessarily go into the draft or go into free agency and get one of those emergency vet or, at least backs that can come in like a Braylon Allen behind Braylon Allen. So if Isaiah Davis can do something here, great. But I'm not worried about that. I think Braylon Allen's going to get the majority of the touches. Miami this week, but then Jacksonville, the Rams, and Buffalo. You can run against all of these teams. They're great matchups. We were excited for Breece Hall. So if Breece Hall's being shut down, yeah, I would worry about that too. I think you can pick up Allen and confidently play him every week. He's going to get at least 50% of the touches, but I would expect he gets the majority of the workload.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to, right? Like volume is key at the running back position. Because if you look at Braylon Allen, he's been super inefficient this year. There's an account, FF Datarama, who people should follow on Twitter. He posts strictly statistics. They post strictly statistics, and it's a lot of good information. So for Braylon Allen, 52nd running backs at 3 yards per carry. He's 53rd in missed tackles forced at 0.08 per attempts. Yards after contact per attempt, he's 43rd. And he has 0 explosive runs. Now, a lot of this is how he's used. He's using a lot of short goal line to goal type stuff, so there's that for him. But if you're getting 15, 20 touches in a game, it's just such a higher floor than a wide receiver, right? So that's where you're going. Even against Miami, it's a middle-of-the-road matchup. That's kind of is what it is. We got a couple sit-start questions here. So I will say, and yeah, just say for Isaiah Davis, I would not worry about Davis either. I'm with you guys on that. All right, 2 questions here for 2 different leagues. Start 2 wide receivers. The questions are we starting Kupp, Judy, Jacoby Myers, and Khalil Shakir. And then the second question is DK or Addison. And so how are you guys treating this question? Let's start with the first question. I'll start with the USC. Who are the 2 wide receivers you're starting in that group before?
Look at Kupp plays the Bills, I do believe, in LA though. So I do like that. Judy, man, so interesting enough, Judy was, I think, like wide receiver 25, 24 2 weeks ago. He came out Thursday night, had a 230-yard game.
Yep.
He's now like wide receiver 6. So you can look at the rankings and as far as like yards on the year, right? And so it's, I mean, I think even in fantasy too with that. But either way, you look at that and it's like, don't a lot of times we've said this before. Look at why they got those yards, right? Like N'Keal Westbrook-Ikini has been doing great things for your fantasy lineup if you're starting him, but he's also been getting the touchdowns. He's not getting the targets necessarily. He's getting like 4 targets per game. He's getting 3 or 2 receptions per game. He's always breaking out big when they gain that touchdown, right? So you look at that, it does become scary in these times. Like if you're starting him or not, you're hoping for that touchdown, and they're getting to him. Safety with Judy in a sense. He has been great with Jameis Winston. It is against Pittsburgh again, and they were pretty good against him. So it's like, all right, this is still another matchup. So he kind of does scare me a little bit. Jacoby's nice, and then they're playing. Where am I at here? They're playing Tampa. I really do like Jacoby against that secondary. That should be great. And then Shakir, Quentin Lake's probably gonna be on Shakir. They have some good secondaries out there in LA as well. So for me, I say Kupp and Jacoby.
Yeah, I think that's really safe. Like to your point on Judy, he's not a high-end target earner, and this is kind of the difference. But I think it's a safer environment for him as it is like Jacoby Myers. But the matchup is a smash against Tampa Bay. They gave up, I think, top 3 fantasy points wide receivers at the position. Like that's why we love it. If you want to go Judy, I understand it. Jeremy, are you kind of going those 2 wide receivers, or are you thinking differently with those?
Yeah, the only thing with Kobe, you got to monitor him. It's not, he's questionable. He's probably going to play, but he's still questionable. And they say they want to test it out pre-game. So just keep an eye on that. I think he's the early game.
Yes.
Yeah, 10.
Yeah.
Great. So that's good to know. You'll know right away. But here's the thing: Shakir is not even in this discussion for me. I know Shakir's getting the volume, but the problem is the volume doesn't translate into anything. Only once he was. Sorry, excuse me. Let's do some math here. Only 4 times he was a wide receiver 2, and I had to do that because he was a wide receiver 15 and 17, and then he's in the 20s and 30s, even with his insane volume. So the guy does not score touchdowns, so his ceiling is capped. He has 2 touchdowns on the season. They were in weeks 1 and 3. So no, thank you. I will go Kupp and Jacoby. Yeah, Judy against Pittsburgh. No, I'll pass this week.
Yeah, that's tough, right? Like that's the thing. So I'd say it makes sense just to monitor Jacoby, see how it goes. They both play at 10 o'clock Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. We'll know if Jacoby's playing or not. I think Judy's a really easy pivot to make in this situation if you want to go that way. And then as far as DK or Addison, like DK's the one and still that passing attack. Addison's he's up or down. I always struggle with Addison types. This gets into kind of Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, these guys, right? Like the clear number 2, well, not Jalen Waddle so much, but the clear number 2, what we thought in that offense, it's a little bit more boom bust. And this is kind of like we have a JSN question. We kind of hit all those together. Who are you guys starting between DK or Addison? Do you have a strict preference on that? Are you leaning one way or the other? Because I think like DK, it's been up or down as well. I just think his role is just a little bit more clear offensively. So are we on team DK or is anyone starting Addison over DK?
No, team DK. It's the matchups aren't great for both of them. Arizona divisional matchup. Then Addison, you have him playing Atlanta. They have a pretty nice secondary there as well. And his hope is that they're double teaming Jefferson and that Sam Darnold's not looking at Hawkinson, right? Just like we were talking about with Calcaterra. I mean, Addison's dealing with the tight end, right? Where Calcaterra is not. He's dealing with wide receiver, right? So DK, it has been stressful with him. JSN looks nice. I do know Lockett's a little banged up, I think. It is Arizona, so I don't know if they're going to run as much, especially with Kenneth Walker out, right? Or possibly out. He's questionable as well. So I think I go DK here, though. You got to trust this guy. I mean, he's a monster too, as far as what he can do as end zone targets and everything that Addison can't necessarily do. So I go DK.
Yeah, I'm gonna go DK too, but it is pretty scary with the Arizona matchup. They've just been so good at locking down teams, and they have a pass rush now. And one thing we know Seattle can't do against anyone is defend Geno Smith back there. That's really what's hurting DK more than anything else. Is we like to see those down the field targets. Geno just doesn't have the time. So I will go DK, but Jordan Addison against Atlanta, like you said. There's other options that Atlanta needs to worry about, and Atlanta is a team that cannot get a pass rush. With Minnesota, even with their offensive line issues, they can protect Darnold enough. He's been savvy enough in the pocket this year. So I think Addison can play. You just don't know if he's going to boom bust. So I'll go DK and just bet on the talent. But yeah, it's a little bit of a concern.
Yeah, I think based on two offenses, it's a fair question to ask. Like, because it's a better matchup against Atlanta than it is against Arizona, right? They'll give up fantasy points. So if you want to go, you go. I think just DK is the safe version of that. And then we got another start question: JSN, DK, or Jacoby. For me, it's Jacoby, just based on what we talked about. But I think you could go either one of the Seahawks wide receivers if you want to. I'll say Jacoby, and then if I'm pivoting to DK if Jacoby doesn't go over JSN. Jeremy, you're our JSN guy. Are you playing JSN this week, or are you going the other way?
I'm going JSN over DK, but I have Kobe ranked the highest. So Kobe at 17, JSN at 23, DK 27. It's really just a matchup for me that scares me. We know Tampa Bay hemorrhages points to wide receivers, so I'm absolutely firing up Jacoby if he's playing. I don't care.
Yeah, like they could put up a dud this week, but the situation, everything's setting up for him to smash. And we've seen the past few weeks, like the floor's been really high with him. It's higher just based on that offense, how they do it. And to your point, I point about Seattle, like that offense line's atrocious. If there was another quarterback there named Geno Smith, it would be a much worse situation. Geno Smith's been making magic happen behind that offensive line. So it's just all fun right now. They need to figure it out. They need to we were talking in a group chat about, they're like, oh yeah, if they sign Geno long term, they need to trade DK, and I'm like, bro, like this offense is going to be wrecked next year if we do that. So I don't know, folks. Like it could be an interesting offseason in Seattle. We'll see how it goes. Kenneth, we'll get to yours in a second on your trade question. We'll just do this last start question and then go to the trade question. SC, are you doing Keenan, Devonta Smith, or DeAndre Hopkins?
Smitty seems like the safety. I know Keenan Allen's been looking good, but they still have DJ Moore, who I expect will still get majority of them for him. Rome Odunze, I'm not worried about him with Keenan right now, but I just think I worry about that. DeAndre Hopkins, man, as much as he's involved, he isn't, right? It's a weird situation because it looks like he's doing well. You're seeing some big plays happen, then that's really all you're seeing. Like he's not being looked at. That's more so just on the offense in general. Like the offense, the passing game isn't necessarily what we expect it to be. And I know with Isaiah Pacheco back, they're going to continue to try to get him more involved and run him. Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts can feed that. Like when the offense is fully healthy, it's a great fantasy offense because defenses don't know who they can cover, right? It's like, I don't know what's going to happen, so everyone can eat. So I do love Devontae Smith. I think he's the safety bet here. If you're wanting the boom bust, I'd probably go Hopkins just because tied with Patrick Mahomes, but I think Devontae Smith is the guy here.
Yeah, where are you at with these three, Jeremy?
Yeah, same with me. I mean, I want to believe in Keenan Allen and this Bears offense that they can replicate this sort of thing. He's done it 2 weeks in a row. I don't see 3 weeks in a row coming from Keenan. So we'll see. It could happen. I get it. If you want to play him, fine. But Devonta Smith, I have significantly higher. D-Hop is buried in my ranking just because he's playing the Chargers. You're running a risk with any of these guys. I will say I'm going to bet on the guy playing Carolina to be able to rip off a big one or two early in this game before everyone on the Eagles sits in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's the concern with that offense, right? Like they're the highest, like they're the most run heavy team in the NFL, the Eagles, which makes a hell of a lot of sense because that offensive line is stacked. You have Jalen Hurts, you have Saquon Barkley, who's basically set records. It's like you don't need to pass. And oh, by the way, it's Carolina who bleeds freaking rushing attempts, like because they can't stop anyone. So the floor with Devonta Smith in this game is like one catch. Like he could just be not involved. Like that's just kind of what you have to worry about. I think it's between Keenan and Devonta. Yeah, D-Hop, no thanks. All right, let's go to this trade question. Olave for Jerry Jeudy and a 2025 second. We'll say it's random second. He has Olave and trying to get him to make the playoffs. I think this is not the worst trade. It sucks because Olave is a really good wide receiver in kind of a bad situation. Where are we at with this trade? Are you guys doing this deal if you're a team on that kind of like the playoff fringe and you're looking for a guy who's a contender piece, which Jeudy has been since Jameis Winston's there? Is this a trade you're willing to make, or are you just going to hold Olave and try to maybe get someone cheaper?
Let me try to find Judy's rest of season schedule real quick.
Yeah, this is really the issue. I just pulled it up, SC. If you want me to read it off, because this is the whole issue. It's Pittsburgh this week, then it's Kansas City, Cincinnati, not bad in week 16, and then Miami, not good in the championship week. So, yeah, all of these Cleveland Brown wide receivers, we're not excited about them. However, Cedric Tillman continues to be out. That means Judy's floor will rise. With all of these things are nice, But Olave is just that guy. I know we totally haven't seen it, but by every single metric that you want to point to that shows what receivers will become in the future, Olave checks that box, right? You want to talk about yards per route run. You want to talk about, Jesse has these metrics listed for sure. But, if you talk to Matt Harmon, if you talk to another analytics guy who likes something else, all of these people love Chris Olave. I love Chris Olave. And I don't think you can give him up for this, especially with that schedule. You're going to get volume. I don't know that you're going to get consistent production, and you have to give up one of the better young receivers in the game. So I'm going to go no.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing about like Judy's, he's not old, right? Like, so I feel like he's been in the league a long time. He has been in the league a long time. It's finally all kind of coming together, but I think it's just more the offense with Jameis Winston. Like, regardless of the matchup, they're going to pass enough where these guys all have a chance. And if you look at, like, we could say Jerry Jeudy, for instance, and how he's done each and every week since Jameis Winston took over, the lowest amount of targets in the game, he's had 6. He's had 3 double-digit target games on top of it. So I know Pittsburgh sucks. Kansas City, I actually think the Kansas City matchup is worse, even though their defense has struggled more. But I think you could play Jeudy each and every week. Like, he's hit double-digit points against all these. It's just at the ceiling, which we just saw, like, if you're chasing that ceiling, you're more than likely going to come up bust. Like, that's just not usually what you expect from a wide receiver. If you went off expected points, Jeudy massively exceeded his expected points. Elijah Moore had the most expected points in that game, and Elijah Moore is very good. This is a long-winded way of me saying I would prefer to go get a cheaper producer. Like, that's what I want to do. I'm just going to go get an old head dude, like we talk about. Not necessarily DeAndre Hopkins, but that type. I'm going to go to the team that's rebuilding and whoever has these pieces. So, like, you could probably get them at a much, yes, like Sutton. I think you could get Sutton. Sutton's probably pretty priced right now because he's been balling out. But yes, if you could get him cheaper than this for Olave, like, you could get another like high-end impact piece added to it. Yeah. Because like we know going into next year, people are going back to evaluating Olave as a borderline top 12 wide receiver. Judy's gonna be top 30-ish. We'll see how it goes. I don't know. And the thing with Cleveland is we don't know the quarterback situation. It's gonna be in flux. We don't know if Jameis Winston's coming back. Like, if you told me Jameis Winston's coming back next year, hell yeah, I'm interested in doing this deal because, like, the one side just go slang it. The other side, you don't know. So, like, I think Olave, I don't mind selling him. But, yeah, it's kind of tough. So I'm with you guys. And, yeah, Jeffrey. Yeah, that's just what it is. You got to kind of pay attention to these. I'm not too worried about it unless we get reports of them being limited. But even when we get these reports sometimes, like, these guys still will go out and just play the entire game. So it's unless we get like certified, like always on a sub count or whatever, like way to straight. All right, we got a couple more questions in the chat, but let's move to our We Listen, We Don't Judge segment. And then for those of you that we didn't answer your questions, we will get to them after this. We're gonna have this fun little segment. So you can keep posting your questions and your comments in the chat. We will get to them today. All right. So we're doing we listen, we don't judge. I guess I'll take the reins on this. We'll start this since I'm hosting this one. Yeah, I was thinking about how to like phrase this because you kind of make yourself look, not the best in the world. So I will say when we get what I call this like the new fish strategy. When we get a new player into one of my dynasty leagues, I will immediately send them a bare bones shit offer to see if they are going to accept and see where this takes me. And if they reject it, I go, okay, all right. If they accept it, I go, hey, what's happening? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's why we listen, we don't judge for
we listen, we don't judge.
That's how we start this, right? I'll pivot to you, SC. Why don't you take the stage with this one?
Jesse over here, fresh meat, and he's going right after it. Like, hey, here's a third for our first round pick over here. Damn. Yeah, we saw I started playing Dynasty is 2019 was when I first officially got kicked off. So I was still getting used to it. I made trades. One of my trades was I traded DK Metcalf. I think that was his rookie year or maybe sophomore. DK Metcalf and Philip Lindsay for Daniel Jones and Juwan Howard in Dynasty. Jordan, is it Juwan? Whoever's with the Dolphins.
Jordan Howard?
Jordan Howard. Yeah. In 2020. So Juwan Howard's a basketball player, so not him. But Jordan Howard. Yeah, that was a dynasty trade, and we know the Daniel Jones story. So yeah, we listen, we don't judge. You gotta make your bad trades.
Speaking of bad trades. This season, I have a team. I wanted to go all in. At the moment, I'm in first place, but this trade did not help me. I went out to go get Dak Prescott. I had to send away a first round pick Thankfully, it's looking like the 112, 111, 110 in that range. And Bo Nix. And Bo Nix in a first to acquire Dak Prescott. God damn.
That's what you're like, yes, I got Dak, I got out of Bo Nix, and then you're like, no, you know what I'm saying? It's just exactly like that.
You should judge that one, to be honest. Judge that one.
What was that when Bo Nix was balling? Like that had to be like right.
No, it was like literally like 3 days before the season started.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So the team has, I had Lamar Jackson and Russell Wilson. I'm like, I got to do something. I don't think Bo Nix is going to be ready. Yeah, that one hurts right now.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not the best, right? I will say, if we want to go with that side of this discussion with it, in 2 years, or this might be actually 3 years, in my home dynasty league, I have cut Kyron Williams the year before he went off. So before last year, it was like in August, and I needed to drop a running back. I kept CPAT, and I cut freaking Kyron Williams, and then he had the monster year. And then August again, this last season, Jonnu Smith. I'm looking at him, I'm like, all right, we're cutting Jonnu Smith. And Jonnu Smith's going nuclear. So, I don't know what it is. It's just that league. I have had some bad decisions making in that league. And I'm like, oh, no. Yeah, so I feel you guys on that one. It's not the best.
Yeah. It's rough out here in these dynasty streets, man.
It can be. Yeah. I was like, it's fine. Cut Kyron. He's a backup running back. By the way, this is why you don't ever cut backup running backs. But yes, don't do that. And then, it is what it is. We all make bad decisions. We have bad trades. There are plenty of bad trades I've made this year. I could go through the list. I don't really prefer to do that, but you can do that,
I did tell someone in my league recently. I was like, man, the worst trade is the one you don't send, though, right? So bad trade, good trade. Hey, man, if you're like, I wonder if they'll do it, send it. You never know. They could accept it. The league may go crazy, be like, this is dumb. I don't want to do this. But hey, it's your teams. Do what you got to do to win, and you never know unless you send it. So,
no, 100%. It is what it is. Like this. Sorry about that. My dog's going ham in this room. All right, so
he's judging. Your dog's judging.
Yeah, I'm getting judged.
Hey, we don't judge.
Yeah,
my dog clearly did not get the memo on that one. It's what it is. Would you like to move some more of these questions we guys have and go through the list?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. All right, so we got a quiz in from Jazz Stacks. 10-3, 12-man PPR, first place. Last week, the regular season running back room is depleted. Start 2. Kareem Hunt, Kamani Vidal, Tajay Spears, Blake Corum, Isaiah Davis. This is rough.
Gotta go Hunt.
I don't have an answer to this question. Yeah, I mean, you got to. Spears probably is the other guy. That seems like the guy that's going to get volume. But, this is rough, man.
Here,
I think those are
I don't know if any of those guys get a touchdown there. My team is hurt. B-Rob, Chase, AJ Brown, McLaurin, so you gotta start 2 because that's your Stu starting running backs. All right, so Hunt I think has the most safest floor. Like he should get involved. Pacheco will probably get involved a lot more as just coming back, but Hunt should still be there. I do like Vidal, but he wasn't really used as much. If you get A1, I would try to go get Gus Edwards, so that should be a good one. Spears, man, Jeremy, I know you talked about in the past with Tony Pollard's matchup. They're gonna use Tony Pollard. He's just gonna be the RB1 for the team. Corum gets some usage, so that may be interesting as well. Isaiah Davis is hit or miss because I still think what's his name, Braylon Allen, might get the carry, especially as you mentioned, they're out right now. So he's the 20-year-old back. Let's see what we got in this young guy and just roll him up. So for me, I think Hunt and Corum is the safest if you're just trying to get points. The other guys, they'll get some work, but is it really going to equate to the points you want? That's tough though, man. I think Hunt's the safest one, and then really just shoot your shot with the other.
Yeah. For me, I'm a little concerned about Corum because we don't know what the hell happened last week, but for some reason Corum was used a ton in the first quarter and then just really wasn't much after that. It became the Kyron Williams show. I saw speculation there and I have disappeared. There's speculation there that maybe Kyron was in the doghouse and got punished for a quarter or something. I don't know what happened, but I would expect or I guess I would bet on the fact that Spears could be involved a little bit more only because they're playing Jacksonville. I do think Tony Pollard gets the majority of this work, but at some point, this Tennessee team that has no prospects for the future, or at least for the playoffs rather this year, needs to start looking toward the future. Tony Pollard is, I believe, 27 years old. So they need to see if Tajay can be a legit number 2 or 1B, how that's going to work out because he hasn't got an opportunity yet. Against Jacksonville, that'd be a good time to do that. So we'll see if they actually do that. I will bet on Spears, but it gets rough after Hunt for me.
Yeah, like sir, for you, my guy, Jay Stacks here is just you're the first place last week of regular season. 10-3. So I mean, man, this playoff is gonna be rough for you if this is your backs. You know, you got to try to get. I'm assuming trade deadline's over and probably no one wants to trade you, but I mean, you have to hit this waiver and see what people can do. Maybe get a Patrick Taylor. You don't know if he'll be the guy in Garando. You know, so that may be something to go check out. Again, if you can't get Gus Edwards, if he's on there, just trying to think of other guys that might be on the waivers for you. Tough sledding, man. I hope your wide receiver. I hope Jamar Chase 50 points, you know, for you, and AJ Brown 50 points, and they just carry you because that's tough for those running backs.
Kraft got you off to a good start, though. That's for sure.
Yeah.
With Brian Robinson, is he IR'd? I don't think he's on IR, right?
No, he's. I think he's playing, right? I mean, he's questionable, so I mean that could be really good for you. If Brian Robinson's there, then you're definitely playing Hunt. Oh, Robinson's on bye, so that's why.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah.
So,
okay.
But you're good. I mean, then you're running Robinson and Hunt there, so that's not bad.
Yeah, I agree. Let's run on to some more of these questions here. We need to start too. We got Braylon Allen. It's a Braylon Allen week, man.
Yeah.
Braylon Allen, Chuba, Tracy, and Pollard. SC, you got to start too. Let's do this. Let's start by eliminating anyone you can eliminate here. Who would you not start?
Braylon Allen.
Yeah.
Out of these three, I mean, Braylon Allen, I like him in situations that you need him. If this is really like playoff contention, I don't want to trust it against Miami. I just don't think it's going to happen there. With these other guys, I should say. Braylon Allen's my first one to eliminate. How about you?
Yeah, I'm with you there, but also Chuba against Philly with the way Jonathan Brooks looked last week. I see you weren't on with us, but we were just raving about how good Jonathan Brooks looked. This is what we all hoped for, but it was obviously very concerning with how long it took him to get back, with Chuba signing the big deal a few weeks ago. But Jonathan Brooks looked really good. If you didn't watch the tape, you should just go turn on a highlight tape of all Jonathan Brooks touches last week. It was awesome. So for me, I'm going to start Pollard and Tracy and bet on volume. I think Chuba for me is just because of the matchup and Brooks. I'm going to fade him and Braylon Allen this week. No, thank you.
Well, you mentioned, Pollard, great matchup against Jacksonville, and Tracy has another great matchup too against New Orleans. So those would have been my two guys to start for sure, regardless. The contracts, man, they don't bother me as much just because we see it happen all the time, and teams just don't use the person, right? So it's more insurance for them. Like I think Jonathan Brooks will still be the RB1 of the future, and they just said, okay, we locked up a high-end value RB2. A stupid move, like why pay him that much? But we see it all the time. I mean, Jacksonville's notorious for signing wide receivers to crazy contracts, and they're irrelevant. So the contracts don't worry about me. Man, watch the tape. Jonathan Brooks is better, in my opinion. So
like I've been raving for Jonathan Brooks. Obviously, it has not worked out very well for me this entire year, but I think he's a very good back. If you look at like the dead cap, it's really not a bad contract. They can get out of it. It's basically pushed till 2028 with Chuba Hubbard, and then it's $10 million cap hit. I think he's going to be on the roster the entire time, but by 2028 he'll probably be out of there. So I do worry about the ceiling with Brooks. Like I think Chuba Hubbard's gonna play a more than I thought. But with these guys specifically, like you got to pay Tracy. Smash matchup against New Orleans, and I'm with Jeremy. Like we love Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard's been Jeremy's guy, and he nailed that this year because he's been really, really good. As much as I want to tell you should be a thing, it's Tony Pollard.
Same.
All right, we got a question for
you.
Hurts against Carolina. Okay, this is a ridiculous question because you have two of the best like top 3 options this week. So
agree.
It's a very good one. And then we have to pick. Well, you know me. I used to go with the rushing quarterbacks always in the situations like this. So I'm going to go Jalen Hurts against Carolina just because if Burrow doesn't, it's like if those passing touchdowns turn into rushing. Like that's the problem for Burrow. Hurts still has the floor because he's going to rush a bunch in this game too, right? Like I think they're just going to absolutely obliterate them on the ground. So against Carolina, I think Hurts is my QB1. Burrow's my QB3. It's whatever. Are you either one of you guys starting Burrow this week over Hurts?
I do have Burrow at QB1 this week and Hurts at QB2.
Nice.
But you did say Chase Brown. I mean, he could be getting them, but Dallas second. I mean, the Dallas defense just is trash in general. So if Burrow, if they go out and sling it, and like we were talking about J Stacks earlier, hope Jamar Chase goes off. This is a great weekend for him to go off. Jalen Hurts, could help too. But you also know that they like Saquon a lot, so that can feast some touchdowns away from him. And Saquon's been breaking out big runs too. So so is Chase Brown. So I mean, this is flip a coin, but I have Burrow at QB1 if that does anything. But Hurts is QB2. So
yeah, I have Hurts at 2 as well. Burrow at 3. They're right there. I would go Hurts because I feel like he's safer. But here's an interesting nugget that I just learned a couple of days ago. The Cincinnati Bengals are not yet mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. They're probably not going to make it, but I think they have like a 8 or 7% chance of making the playoffs. A lot of things need to swing right. But because of that, they're still going to be throwing everything at teams as offense knows that they have to score week in and week out. That's so good for fantasy. Burrow could light it up yet again. Hurts is safer. What do you need is my question.
Like that's kind of is what it is. And then we see with Hurts, it's super high floor each and every week.
Yep.
I don't think he's had a single digit performance all year, which will not shock me. And I mean, Burrow's been money. I think we can focus more on the running backs because there's no wrong answer to the quarterbacks. Are you playing Najee against Cleveland, Garendo, he's starting running back San Francisco, or Devonta Smith? I think I'm personally probably going to go the 2 running backs over Devonta Smith. Are either one of you guys playing Devonta Smith in this situation, or how are you treating these 2 players?
I think anyone could be argued here. I mean, this is a great question. Najee's going to get the volume. Garendo, we want to see it. Who are they playing? Chicago. Chicago's okay against the run. They're like mid of the pack there, I think. And Devonta Smith, though, it's the first game back, but he's been out, so I feel like he's recovered. He's good. The running backs just because you trust the volume. I go Najee and Devontae though. Garendo, I mean, we want to make sure we want him to be it, right? Because the hype in the combine and things like that, but we just don't know. So that's what really scares me. We know that Jordan Mason and CMC are out for the year. They're on IR at least for the fantasy year. So we know this could be a good watch season for Garendo, and then see like, okay, if he gets the volume, then go with him. But I think Najee's safest, and then I go Devontae.
Yeah, I don't mind either of these guys. I agree with you, SC, but the one thing that's got me kind of changing my tune is an hour ago, ESPN reported that Garendo is preparing to, quote, carry a heavy workload. So, I think that's because Patrick Taylor really sucks and Izzy Abanikanda is just not ready yet. So having been signed a few days ago, I think this is more of like a Cedric Tillman situation where you pick up the guy, you play him and plug him in right away, and he does well for you, but then you need to reserve caution. I know Tillman has been injured most of that time, but you need to kind of step back once Izzy comes into the fold, unless Garendo absolutely goes off, which is possible. So I will bet on Garendo this week. Najee's a really tough one against Cleveland, but you just hope he falls into the end zone. I would probably say start Garendo and then pick between a safer floor in Najee or the ultimate ceiling in Devonta Smith, who could, go for 3 receptions for 100 yards and 2 scores.
Like Tyler's range of outcomes. He's super boom bust, like whatever. So we talked about on the show, like he hasn't had a ton of targets this year. I think he has like 1 double-digit target game all season. It's just the floor is lower with him because their rush rate is like 10 over expected. Like they're such a rush heavy team. That's the issue with Devonta Smith. It's super, he could just disappear in games, unfortunately. This kind of gets the same question with Waddle and Smith. Both 2 have been more of the 2 disappointing wide receivers in fantasy. Are you guys dropping Waddle to start Zach Charbonnet? Because I'm not picking up Zach Charbonnet if I'm not starting him. Like that's just foolish. So
sure.
Are you guys running this route, or are you just going to keep Waddle and hope it hits again with Waddle?
I think you keep Waddle. We don't know instead of Kenneth Walker's injury, if Kenneth Walker is healthy, you just drop someone that you know sees the field. Charbonnet with Kenneth Walker isn't seeing it as much as we would like. So I don't think you should. If news comes out that the injury is worse, then sure. But I think Waddle, he's on there. He's going to get targets, whether it's good targets or bad ones. He's going to get them. Where Charbonnet, there could be games where he's just irrelevant. So.
Yeah, and I don't love Zach Charbonnet this week against Arizona. He will be fine if he's the only guy getting the work, sure. But yeah, I'm not in love with the matchup. Waddle plays the Jets. He could absolutely do it again. I know he had a down week, just 4 for 53 last week, but Jets, Houston, a reeling San Francisco team, and a Cleveland team who can't really decides when they want to show up. And at that point, they're probably out of the playoffs. So, I think that Waddle is probably going to help you out in every game this season. Zach Charbonnet, even if he does well and Kenneth Walker's out, they get Green Bay, Minnesota, Chicago, all not ideal matchups for running backs.
Yeah, like my whole issue with Waddle is he just has not been very good. Like he had the blowout game 2 weeks ago, but outside that, he has only had one other double-digit game this year, where Charbonnet in like the 2 games he was starting for Walker, he put up 15 and 24 because he got the touchdowns and he had 20 plus touches in both of those games. So like I think that's kind of how it works out because to your point, kind of like Grendo in San Francisco, the Seahawks third running back is abysmal. And this is the issue, like the draw from Charbonnet is massive to him compared to Walker to Charbonnet. So like if Walker doesn't play, Charbonnet's just going to get basically all the touches. Like he's going to be that 100% guy. So I would fire him up. If you need running back production, I'm fine chasing with Charbonnet.
Sure.
Just because Waddle just been so boom bust, man. All right, Tua's been on fire recently. Are you guys starting him over Mahomes? Who's Mahomes starting to turn corner coming around? Mahomes is looking kind of good. Where are we at with these 2 guys? Is Mahomes default option, or is anyone starting Tua over Mahomes this week?
You got to start Tua. You got to.
I think so.
Mahomes gets the Chargers. Yeah, he's at home, but Tua's at home against the Jets. Sauce is out as well. He's in the Breece Hall program of we want to sit our young guys rest of season probably. So Sauce is out in this one. Yeah, I'm going to go with Tua.
You could do it.
Yeah. Yeah, same thing too. Especially with the news of Sauce being out, the secondary and the Chargers is very great. That's why I say you might get more volume from Pacheco. But they have a good, pretty good front 7 too. So the Tua versus Jets, I feel is just like a throw-up game. Like Tua could go out there and just ball. Mahomes this is a divisional matchup, and Chargers are in it. The Chiefs are in it. They want to beat each other, so this is going to be a very gritty game. I feel like I think Tua has the higher floor here.
Yeah, I have Mahomes a couple spots above Tua, but yeah, he has made great points on Tua. I think there are 2 of the easily top 10 options this week. Like you should be starting both of them, and even though it's a bad matchup against the Chargers, like I'm not too worried. But I think Tua is just really safe. So if you want to go Tua. More basic question on Walker. No, I don't think they're going to shut him down unless it's a severe injury because they're the 1 seed in that division. They're trying to make the playoffs. That makes no sense to really shut down Walker if they don't have to. So we'll see. They said the injury kind of crept up on him like at the end of the game last week. They didn't realize it was as bad as it was. So, and then we've gotten in the week, it's gotten progressively worse, not getting better. So I'm treating Walker like he's going to be out. If you need, I would just pick up Charbonnet just in case and use him as kind of like the TBD option because that volume, like we talked about, is going to be there. So you could use him and just play him. So that's kind of where I would go with that if you guys want to do that. Are you guys concerned at all with Walker? I guess like I personally am not, but are you worried that this injury is going to linger on throughout and into the fantasy football playoffs?
It is something where I want to make sure I have a pivot option. I think he can't play, but with this already happening, final week of the fantasy season, it's like, okay, I would go pick up, Charbonnet. I know you said he could get Charbonnet. I would go pick him up regardless, because if it does, you at least you have the backup. And not necessarily even just Charbonnet, just anyone that you can plug in the situations of Kenneth Walker is out 2 days before, Sunday or, game time decision. And they're like, oh, we're going to sit him. So during the playoffs, you don't want to risk that. So definitely make sure you do have that backup, that RB that you can plug in if he does go out. Not necessarily Charbonnet, but just a backup to plug in.
Yeah, and here's the other thing too. This game is massive. The Seahawks are 7-5 atop the NFC West. Cards are 6-6 right there, and you got the Rams at 6-6. 49ers, we're just going to throw them away. They're 5-7, only 2 games out, but it does not seem like it's their year. It could be, but it doesn't seem like it. So I think the Seahawks really need this game. I think that's why Kenneth Walker hasn't been ruled out yet. But we'll see. They really need him for the rest of the season to go win the division, get in the playoffs. So if they can sit him for one game, great. Could it last all season? Yeah, I guess it could. But then I think they're going to have a really hard time making the playoffs and winning this division if Kenneth Walker is not there.
Yeah. With these high upside priority handcuffs, like he's one of the few guys that slots it. That's true. Like we talk about Braylon Allen potentially being that guy as well. Charbonnet, these guys, Blake Corum, another one of them. If the starter goes down, they step into a massive workload, and that's why they should be on roster. So I think you should definitely pick them up, see how it goes, and they can work out for you. All right, we got a question from Kenneth. Troubles. Oh, sorry, that's my fault. Levis for a late 2025 second. How are we feeling about that? They need a QB3. It's a late second. I don't mind it if you want to take a gamble on Levis. I would say if you're chasing the production for this year, I would just go get someone like Jameis who's going to slang the rock a bunch, or go get another like we talked about Darnold. It's gonna be more expensive, but going to one of those guys. It's a late second. I don't mind making this move, and there could be upside for Levis starting next year. We just don't know how in Superflex league, which I'm assuming this is because in one QB leagues, I'm not paying a second for Levis. I'll start with USC. Are you willing to pay a 25 late 2 for Will Levis and see how it goes?
Yeah, quarterback prices are inflated when it comes to Superflex leagues, right? So I think you have to pay that if you're willing to get him. He does have an easier playoff schedule. There's talks that he might not be the QB next year, but at the same time, I think there is possibility that he could be, and they invest in the 2026 QB class, right? Because they need Tennessee needs people everywhere. On defense, they need wide receivers, they need different things going on. I think that's a fair price. A late second right now. I mean, you're looking at potentially Ewers, Beck, maybe. So right now I'd take the guy that's been in the NFL over those guys. So not mad at that.
Yeah, and not only the guy who's been in the NFL, but the guy who, since he's been back, has looked a lot better. He's not making stupid mistakes. He's not making as many stupid mistakes. Only 2 interceptions in the last month for Will Levis since he's been back under center, which is wildly impressive considering what he was doing at the beginning of the season. But also 7 touchdowns in that span. And the completion percentage isn't there. It's closer to 50% than we would like. But at the same time, he's been given the opportunity. He's throwing the ball around there, and he doesn't really have the weapons outside of Calvin Ridley to do much if they build around him and he continues making better decisions. We'll see in this next month. Like you said, the playoff schedule is money. If he's able to produce and not make stupid mistakes that kills this team, maybe he is the guy next year.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. I think we're treating him more like a veteran because there's so much uncertainty with him, kind of these like Russell Wilson type guys. Would you rather just trade for Russell Wilson because he's playing out throughout the season and see how the season goes after that? Or would you guys have to target Will Levis? Because price ranges are about the same. So it's really just like, would you take the old guy who's producing? Because Wilson's been a much better fantasy prediction quarterback. Would you go that way, or would you just go after Levis if you're going to target a quarterback?
I'd go for the younger upside. Russell Wilson plays Cleveland again. Did not have a good game. Philly, Baltimore, Kansas City. So what are you really gaining from Russell Wilson for the rest of the season? Probably not much with that limited offense. With Will Levis, he has the far easier schedule. You could plug him in a pinch, but this is my QB3, right? So really, I just want the security more than anything else. I think based on their schedules, Wilson and Levis can give you similar production now, and Wilson has and Wilson could be gone next season. He could be around next season as well, but at 37 in his 37-year-old season, he's trending more towards Kirk Cousins each and every day. And so, I think, I think I'd go after Levis just with the upside of maybe it's in Tennessee, maybe it's somewhere else, but maybe he has a resurgence at some point.
Yeah, totally possible. Where are you at with that, SE? Would you rather go Russell Wilson or Will Levis on this team build?
Levis, Theo Russell, I think Russell saved his position for next year. So you have another year out of him. But Levis has the better playoff schedule. So if this is a QB3 going in the playoffs, I think go Levis. That's the assumption, right? That you'll get someone else later. So I think Levis just for the playoff schedule.
Yeah, I think the the market value is going to be on the Levis side just because he's young and there's the quote unquote upside, right? Like for him to ascend and give more value. I think if you're looking for production, Wilson's just the much safer play, even with a worse playoff schedule. He's crushing Levis in production, even though this is a good matchup for him. I think it's gonna be good. All right, we have a tough one with CeeDee Lamb because he's still dealing with the injury. We don't know fully what's going on with CeeDee this week. Are you gonna play CeeDee or are you playing DJ Moore, Jeremy? Where do you stand on these two? And are you willing to take the risk with CeeDee, or are you just gonna go with DJ Moore on that offense, which is improved?
Yeah, that's the trick, right? Is because this is the Monday night game, but it's against Cincinnati. Oh my God! Like this is such a juicy matchup. If CeeDee plays, we could have a vintage early this season CeeDee Lamb game. It's possible Cooper Rush can get there against the worst defense in the league in Cincinnati. I have CeeDee right now at 9. I should probably bump him down a little bit because of the injury stuff, but DJ Moore's all the way down at 20. He faces the San Francisco 49ers. I'm not concerned or scared about this defense anymore. At the same time, there's just a lot of mouths to feed. So I will go CeeDee, but it's going to be a lot closer than the 9 and 20 rankings I have them at right now.
Yeah.
CeeDee, but if you can go get Turpin for for that Monday night matchup that you want. So
yeah, I think that's a good pivot. He's trending to play, so he should be playing. We are running up against it at the top of the hour, so we're going to fly through a few of these questions to kind of just wrap through them. All right. Najee over Guerrero against Cleveland. Top 3 stuff rate is, yeah. I actually think Guerrero is the better play because Najee's not getting the bell cow usage. He's getting a good amount of workload in that offense. It's just Warren takes a little bit more. I think to Jeremy's point, Guerrero is going to get a ton of work this week, so I have Guerrero over him as well. Pick 2 in the starting matchup, we're going Rico Dowdle, who's got a really juicy matchup. Isaac Guerrero, Najee, Tracy, Walker, and Pacheco. Pick 2. This is a good question. Where are you standing on these guys?
Tracy is my must. I love Tracy this week. I do like Rico. I think they're getting more involved. I think he's a solid one. Monday night too. I always love if I know, in fact, I can play a guy Monday night, right? Injuries pop up random times, so you never really know, I guess, until it happens. But right now, Rico seems healthy. I think that's a solid smash matchup to, just give you that Monday night fever. And, all right, I'm either winning already or, all right, I have this last guy that can help me win. So,
yeah. I like Rico as well, too. Especially on Monday night. I think he's going to go off. I do have Kenneth Walker the highest at the moment. So if he plays, I want to play him because of pure volume. But let's assume Walker doesn't play. I have Rico and Tracy both barely over Isaac Guerrero. So, yeah, it's a really tough. Najee's the last one here for me. So I would go Rico Tracy. If Walker is out, I would go Walker Rico if Walker plays.
Yeah, and we're still a few weeks away from confidently starting Pacheco. It's just not fully there yet, but it's trending in the right direction. I'm with you guys. I'm playing Tracy and I'm playing Rico. I like Guerrero as well too, and it's just I don't think Walker's going to play, so I'm just not really worried about Walker. But if he plays, Jeremy's point, I'd have him. They could.
Oh no, Sanders is going to be there. Sanders is going to be the 1-1.
This quarterback class sucks. So Sanders is going to go way too uncomfortably high. He's going to go insanely high because the quarterback class sucks, and that's going to be that's the entire problem. I was thinking about dropping Walker for Charbonnet. I would not do that. Can you not do an IR spot? Oh, so you have Brian Robinson on IR. I would rather have Walker on the IR if I'm deciding between dropping those guys. I wouldn't want to drop any one of these guys personally. I would drop a wide receiver or somebody other position because you got to have a position. You're 9-3. Dropping Walker seems like a really bad idea. Because he's a really good running back. I would not do that. How would you guys handle this backfield? Because Irving's the clear guy you're starting every week, right? Then you have Tracy. You're playing him too. Yeah. Are you guys willing to kind of pick up Charbonnet on this team outside of I'm not dropping Walker, so I'm just going to squash that right now. Don't drop
I'm not dropping Walker either. No.
No. I think you don't need to. I mean, unless you have to start 4 RBs and you need one, I guess. But, I mean, no. You're 9-3 currently, 1 seed. I don't think you need to. You have a strong team.
Yep. Let's go to the side end question. K-Dot or Jake Ferguson?
Oh, yeah. Hang on. This one relates to the last one.
Yeah,
you can't drop those guys. You got a backup tight end?
Yeah. I think you just I might be tempted with Brian Robinson to cut him in the situation, but he's been really good too. You have a really good team is the way I'll phrase this. I don't think you need to play Charbonnet, and you could kind of
don't chase it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think you need to chase this one situation. Is Bowers a tight end? Your team's stacked, so like
you're fine. Walker could
fine.
be out for the season, and it doesn't matter. You're probably still going to win the championship, so you're all right.
So you're pretty good. Yeah. Wilson. I'm assuming that's Garrett Wilson. If it's a different Wilson, you can drop that. Yeah, he has Garrett Wilson. Yeah, Your team. I don't know how you got all this team drafting and redraft because that like worked out very well. So congrats to you. This is just a subtle flex by you. That's what this is. Like, yeah. Well,
we're gonna look at his trade history and we're gonna listen, but not judge.
Yes. We will listen and not judge the people who he traded.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, I think you're fine. I don't think you need to chase it. Like, you're good. If you're worried about Pacheco, you could do the Pacheco. Like, because I don't think he's gonna get full volume. If there's anybody I would cut, maybe it's potentially Pacheco, but like I don't want to cut Pacheco either. So it's just kind of it is. Yeah. If this is one QB league, oh goodness, you gotta cut. Yeah, we're just gonna avoid that. Yeah, don't just leave it. Don't pick him up.
Yeah, just leave
because it's more than likely a 1 week thing. Your team's 10-3. You're locked into the playoffs. I wouldn't worry about it. Like, you'll be fine. If news comes out that it's longer, then we'll change our stance. But I think you're fine. Just keep that.
And with that roster, you're probably not starting Walker either. So.
Yeah, exactly right. So it's usually good.
Yeah,
Scott, not necessarily trending to play. So until that news changes, because he's playing the late game, like I think he has a better chance to play on top of it too. So it's Monday. So like, just go with that. Like I think you're fine. Don't worry about it. And then last question from Scott: Otten or Ferguson this week? Are we going back to Cade Otten, or are we doing the Jake Ferguson experience? Coming back from an injury, we don't know how many routes he's going to run. I personally have Otten above Ferguson, but SE, where you at on these guys?
I mean, if Ferguson's playing, I think that's going to be solid gold for them too, especially if CD's a little banged up, right? They may go to him with Ferguson coming healthy. I do have Otten higher than him because he's playing the Raiders. Mike Evans is also banged up, so this could be an Otten gate. Ferguson's Monday night, so I think you're safer just going Otten and not necessarily risking Ferguson. If Ferguson was on Sunday, I'd go Ferguson though.
Yeah. This is a really tough question because I totally agree with you, and I have Cade Otten 1 spot above Jake Ferguson, who I just moved up 16 spots because he's planning to play against the worst defense in the league in Cincinnati. But yeah, here's the thing with Cade Otten. Cade Otten has been essentially, his role has been all but eliminated in this offense by the return of Mike Evans. And by the ascension of Bucky and Rachaad White in the passing game. Cade Otten was receiving insane volume. He's not receiving that anymore. But the thing is, he still can be useful. And I think in this game against Vegas, who has the ability to throw the ball, even if they're a lesser offense, I think that they'll need Cade Otten. But man, if CD's out, I kind of want to play Jake Ferguson. So this is going to be a game time decision to me, and they're right there. I kind of lean Ferguson. I'm going to do it. I'm going to put Ferguson over Cade Otten, 11 and 12 for me right now. I lean Ferguson, but it's so close.
Yeah, it's tough. I think just with the coming off the injury, I kind of want to see the week with Ferguson. That's my one thing with him. Breaking news: Breece Hall is listed as out. So go pick up Braylon Allen if he's on your roster. Just go get him. You don't have to play him this week. Just stash him because the schedule's not the worst in the world, and he can absolutely ball out. So if you need running back production, there's a cheaper bell cow just chilling on your waiver wire, Brandon Allen. I think you should go get him, folks. I mean, Cade Otten's not athletic either. So I've seen Cade Otten going back to his time at UW. He's a fine NFL tight end, but he's not like a George Kittle athlete. Like these guys are kind of similar builds. So it's just like Ferguson's been the bigger target in his career. And like similar, and I'll say Scott's question before we dip out of the show. Yeah, you could pick up Isaiah Davis as the clear handcuff there right now, right? So you can do that too in deeper leagues. But yeah, like go get Braylon Allen. He's still less than 50% roster of the leagues. Like I don't know why. Just go get him. Enjoy it. All right, let's go wrap it up. That's our Week 14 Fantasy Football Roundtable. Hope you all had a good time with us. We listened. We did not judge. We did all the fun stuff we did.
A little bit of judging.
Maybe just a little bit. Some of the decisions we made. Tomorrow, our sit start show starts at 9:00 Pacific, 12:00 Eastern time. So join us for that. We'll get to cover more of these questions which you guys asked. And yeah, we'll have fun for an hour before the game. As y'all make playoff pushes this week. So go get Braylon Allen. Go win your Week 14. Go march into fantasy playoffs. And yeah, we'll see y'all tomorrow. So take care, folks. Enjoy your day. Listen